So, the main benefit was feedback. It is quite interesting. Our chief of medicine.
Okay. I have turned on the recorder. The time is now 9:30 a.m. I'm going to call the meeting of the Venetian Community Development District to order. Today's Monday, May 23rd, 2022. The first item on the agenda is the call to order / roll call. Those supervisors that are present are Rich Rocco, Steve Kleinglass, Richard McCafferty, Ernest Booker, and Ken Smaha. On behalf of District Management is myself, Belinda Blandon. District Council Andy Korn is present. We do have representatives from Vesta Property Services, Ginger Anzalone, Julie Cortina. Do we have Paul with us? Paul Varner? Paul's with us as well. And on behalf of Representative Company, we do have Luciano Mastrioni, Director of Community Services, as well as Michael Rodriguez, Amenity Services Manager. And for the audience, for the record, there are audience members present. Supervisors, the next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please remove your hats.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the public comment portion of the agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, we will limit public comments to 3 minutes per person. Our first speaker is Nancy Swakowski. Nancy?
Hi, everyone. I'm Nancy Swakowski. I'm chair of the Pool and Fitness Committee. I just wanted to give you a brief update on the status of the Pool and Fitness Committee's work on assessing the furniture needs for the pool area in light of the new tiki bar construction, as well as general requirements to replace furniture that's no longer serviceable. In the course of the current fiscal year to date, 37 pieces of furniture have been disposed of so far due to damage and deterioration. That is for two reasons. We have non-commercial furniture that was purchased in the last couple of years that just didn't stand up in the pool environment, and the furniture is reaching the end of its useful life. So some of the furniture is just giving out because it's 8 to 10 years old. I assume, I don't know, predates me. So 37 pieces have been disposed of. At the present time, we have 31 pieces of pool furniture that require re-slinging because they're sagging. And Paul Varner is looking into the cost of getting that done. So therefore, 72% of the furniture that was in place at the beginning of the fiscal year is currently in the furniture graveyard or needs repair. That was a little joke, furniture graveyard. Then of course we have the expanded needs due to the new tiki. and the general lack of sufficient furniture for users when the pool's busy. The Fitness and Pool Committee has been diligently working on evaluating the furniture count needed in the Tiki area and the expanded surrounding space. We've been investigating brands of commercial outdoor furniture, visiting showrooms that sell such furniture on behalf of manufacturers, and starting the process of getting quotes on what is needed. We've spent extensive time in this investigation so far. We've also utilized the services of an uncompensated Venetian resident who's in the interior design business to give us advice on furniture style. Note that the furniture that we currently have is no longer in production, so that style of what we have out there cannot be purchased presently. We're told that any commercial brand we purchase will take an 8-month delivery time for receipt. So we're talking February, maybe, till we get anything that we do order. Okay, I'm taking a breath. The pool furnishings in general, when you buy them, they're constantly being updated and redesigned. So whatever we buy at the present time will likely not be able to be supplemented in the future with the same style and color of furniture. So whatever we buy, we'll get something different the next year, something different the next year, just like clothes. It's just different stuff comes out to encourage purchasing in the marketplace. We're hoping to present our pool furniture recommendation to the board in June, but I am expecting the cost of the furniture that will be needed currently to be about $50,000. I attended the last facilities committee meeting. Thank you for inviting me, Steve. The facilities committee members at the meeting agreed that in order for the pool and fitness committee's furnishing recommendations to coordinate appropriately with the Tiki Bar finishes, the pool and fitness committee needed to be involved in the recommendation on those finishes. I'm not sure about the current status of recommendations on the finishes. I'm sure Steve knows more about that. I'm losing my breath, sorry. Maybe it's too long. But I feel it's extremely important that in light of the community's expenditure of significant funds for the Tiki construction, that there's careful consideration of the finishes of the bar top, the cabinetry, the tile face of the Tiki Bar, so that the community ends up with an attractive, up-to-date product reflecting our premier community, and so that the furniture we select and that is recommended by the Pool and Fitness Committee can appropriately coordinate with the new Tiki Bar structure. I'm sure it will look beautiful with the work that the Facilities Committee has done. Kudos to them for finally getting the Tiki Bar project ready to go. It's a great achievement, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks and months, we'll see a new product that's beautiful and fits in well with our environment. So look forward to speaking to you all in June with further details on what we recommend at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Don't go. Just for a point of information, the furniture that is out there that was purchased way back, that expenditure was $80,000 then. So your $50,000 estimate, I think, is significantly low, way low.
That's only for the portion that we currently need for the Tiki and expanded area, not to replace all of the furniture in the Tiki area. All of the furniture, if it were to be replaced, is probably more in the $150,000 to $200,000 range. So sorry if I did not make that clear.
I just, we know
Stuff is increased, yes.
Thanks for your work, Nancy.
Well done, Nancy.
Thank you. I wish I had a teleprompter so I didn't have to read.
Thank you, Nancy.
Are you looking at changing color schemes or doing something different?
Well, do you want to talk about it? No. All right, so when it's time, I'll share some information.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Mike Krejci. Mike?
This been working? Good morning. My name is Mike Krejci. I live at 109 Savona Way. That's the Costello Community Association off Prosaro. 5 months ago, I appeared before you describing a problem that our community was having that pertained to plugged irrigation filters, pop-ups that weren't working, that were sticking in the up position, and valves that were sticking open, creating running water anytime the irrigation pumps were on. At that time, we presented a potential solution through the introduction of red ear sunfish, which are known as shell crackers in the fish community. And these break up the snails that are plugging our filters. The initial or the origin of these snails are from the driving range aquatic pond. It was my understanding that this recommendation had been approved by the chairman, as it was under $5,000, was actually $1,800 for 2,000 sunfish. This situation has reoccurred. Now, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. The sunfish were never put in the pond for a number of reasons. One, we found plugged filters on the irrigation pumps, and the field manager wanted to wait for a period of time and see if that plugging reoccurred, but he needed to get some spare seals in case we damaged the seal. And I agreed with that position at that time. Although I was not aware, and I do not believe that the introduction of the sunfish was dependent on this filter inspection. Fast forward to today, last week, 10 days, this problem has come back to our community gangbusters. We've had our irrigation people out there last week. They've cleaned filters. I talked to them this morning, and some of those filters are plugged again this week. What I'm asking is that the CDD, for whatever reason, move forward with having these sunfish introduced into the driving range pond. We explained at the time that it would take 6 to 8 months for them to become stabilized and hopefully see some result from their introduction. Now, I also understand that the field manager has had solitude putting chemicals in the water. Those apparently haven't worked. And I feel that the $1,800 is a small expenditure to try and eliminate this problem. So I would ask that the CDD move forward with the introduction of these red ear sunfish known as shell crackers. I did a little extra research. These snails can reproduce very quickly. Every snail is both a male, or has both male and female reproductive organs. So when they mate, they can actually create 2 additional sunfish, or 2 additional snails, I'm sorry, which creates more of this reproductive matter that is getting through the filters, getting through the pump filters and into our filters. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mike. It hasn't been forgotten at all. We decided on a process, and the whole thing had been approved, that we were gonna, move ahead. In fact, we've had conversations with Heritage about splitting costs and that sort of thing, and they seem to be on board with all of that. We're trying firstly the filters, we're trying the chemicals, and the fish haven't been introduced yet, but it isn't something that has been forgotten.
What's the time frame for doing that?
Keith, do you have any additional information on that?
The process that you're talking about, yes, we wanted to go ahead and go with the chemicals, and we have also put some stuff down in the wet well. And so we pulled filters the other day, and there was a little bit of, but it wasn't like it was when we pulled them the first time. All right. This is the first I'm hearing from Mike about them having a problem. Again, he didn't tell me. He said the last 10 days. I didn't know it was back.
Wasn't our Homeowner Association President Gary Bolgar over to talk to you?
No, sir.
I'll talk to him. He told me that he had talked to you about it.
No, I didn't, he didn't say it was back with what you just said, gangbusters. And so, we need to go, we'll flush that out there again. And I've talked to my guy about flushing that more often, but, we'll take care of that end. But no, I didn't know you were having such, big problem again.
Well,
So
I found out about this Saturday night.
I'll get back with you.
Okay.
And we'll, the fish is not, we just wanted to try the processes and then we'll, the fish are definitely an avenue. All right.
Thanks, Keith.
Yep.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Bill Shade.
Good morning. Wanted to take the opportunity to talk about two things quickly. First, I want to thank you for Keith's support of the POA. As you know, we've gone through a number of transitions. The golf club is now staffing full. The general manager is now going to be on premises starting the end of May. That kicks one of our spaces available out. So Keith has made arrangements for actually us to take over some of the space that eventually will be renovated. So that is very helpful to us. Unfortunately, it doesn't stop. So the end of May, we're going to see the second piece potentially be needed as well. So we're going to have to figure out what we do. We will be using the fact that we still have a lease with, let's just say, Heritage by way of Lennar, because it was never terminated. And so we will use that to leverage space within the golf club complex as long as we can. But I just wanted you to know that Keith did very well by us by helping us out. I brought the second topic to the attention of the board, and the two boards have been working together on this. We continue in the last POA board meeting, we discussed the risk that we are still at and that we need to do something now as it relates to the boardwalk. It only is going to take one person that doesn't care about this community to drop a cigarette or a match, and that boardwalk will go up. And that is the issue that is in front of us, and we need to address that issue. We can't wait any longer. We understand we tried the system of getting gate access control to be expanded with the Tiki Hut renovation. We know that gate system is going to be upgraded. Doesn't make sense right now to jump on that before that is done. But from a liability standpoint, every homeowner in this room would go through a liability because our insurance would not cover us. And so we will be meeting with the insurance company to understand exactly what needs to be done and when, because it is an urgent matter. From this day forward, we need to structure waivers of liability, and we need an insurance policy from the CDD so that any non-members brought into the River Club using that boardwalk, absolutely without question are insured. We are insured against that risk, because if we're not, this liability is a lot worse than the fire. There's more liability from us knowingly not doing anything about it. So I ask that you understand that we need the insurance that was asked of us as we came into this facility. The homeowners need the insurance from non-members that will be utilizing a facility, which means we either stop all non-members' weddings accessing the boardwalk, or we put in place the proper liability coverage. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Bill, something unrelated to this, but we'll discuss this with our attorney.
Yeah.
Something unrelated to this, could Comcast installation be told not to park the wrong way on the street? Their trucks are constantly facing the wrong direction on the street.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Debbie Garricky. Debbie?
Good morning. After Rudy emailed me his letter of resignation to Vesta, I emailed the following to the board. And I want everybody to know what I emailed to our Board of Supervisors. Our community, as you are aware, is an extremely tough and complicated community. We are not the industry norm. We have too many layers of management to satisfy and too many disruptive, rumor-driven homeowners who do not think twice about interrupting Rudy anytime they need it and entering his office. Too many meetings during not only an economic labor crisis, but a River Club employment crisis. And a board who very often did not treat the Vista team as a partner. Not to mention the continual nasty public comments from the homeowners who spoke to Rudy in a very disruptive manner. And Rudy is a very proud man. This was all extremely hard for him. To our community, I would say, if you have to complain, you have to earn the right to complain, join a committee or join the board. To the board, I would say, I hope we've learned a very valid lesson. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. Our next speaker is Jill Pizarnik.
Thank you. Actually, just a quick piece. I just have one or two questions. Should I hold it for that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Then I'm going to become Jerry Lewis. He asked if I could just read something quickly because he's the next commenter.
You're on the clock.
Oh, great. Okay. So Jerry says about pickleball, there seems to be some controversy in the community, not relative to pickleball sport itself, as its popularity is growing, but as to its location. Building consensus with respect to the location would benefit the Venetian, and so I'd suggest asking Heritage about considering use of their maintenance yard, welcome center area, or perhaps a portion of the Heritage parking lot furthest from the golf center. Heritage would need to be amenable, and cost of purchase would need to be considered. Perhaps in lieu of purchasing the property, Heritage might be interested in sharing a pickleball facility with Venetian as an additional amenity they could offer to their members as well. And that's what Jerry said.
Thank you. You realize, of course, that we did look into that with
Lennar, yes.
Lennar,
Yeah.
and the pushback from the Treviso Balanza community was immense. You may not be aware of that, but that certainly was something that is, as recently as last week, in a conversation with some people from Treviso and Balanza, they were very, very afraid that something would happen in that parking lot, and they're ready to circle the wagons. So that doesn't seem like a possibility. I appreciate your thought.
And Jerry.
And Jerry's thought. Excuse me.
We do look alike, though.
And our final speaker is Tyler Cassell. Mr. Cassell?
Hi, good morning. My name is Tyler Castle. I didn't move here to squabble. I moved here to retire and enjoy our community. However, I believe the board has the financial responsibility to take a resident-wide survey for any major capital expenditure. You did so with the tiki bar, but you didn't do it with the pickleball courts. If you had done it, you would realize the residents don't want the courts. Since there was no survey taken by you, we decided to take our own survey, and we have over 1,000 names of people that don't want the courts. Now, we can have a difference of opinion, but to publicly ask the question, is forgery a crime, as Mr. Shapiker did at the Planning Commission hearing last week, is very troubling. That's slander. That takes us to a whole new level. I don't know whether the wording was planned or was just blurted out in anger by Mr. Shapiker, but whatever the reason, it doesn't matter, the words are out. We collected every one of those over 1,000 signatures by asking people. If you had taken the time to go and check or call those people that you yellow marked, you would have found out, yes, we did sign. So I'm calling on Mr. Booker today to address those who sat at the table and tell them about the seriousness of bringing the word forgery into a public hearing without evidence. I call on him to address this matter at the end of the public hearing today. I also asked the pickleball committee for a copy of their survey so we can look at their signatories. And to coordinate, like you did in front of the Planning Commission, with Mr. Shapiker, Mr. Bracco, and Sandra Nick, takes meetings and conversations. I've never heard talk about that at any of the CDD meetings. And I wonder if those conversations and meetings were a violation of the Sunshine Law. I'm asking Mr. Cohen to investigate that and tell us about that at the next meeting. Our engineers found two major problems with that site, the drain in the middle of the courts and the cutoff corners. I provided a law case to you about what happens when you reduce the required setback. You get sued. That's the answer. So that was a warning to you, and that warning is now in the public record in the city and here at this meeting today, and that can be Exhibit A, should there be any legal action going forward. 2 years ago, the board and the pickleball committee conducted the parking lots, concluded the parking lot site wouldn't work. You said you did sound testing, reviewed the geography, and you didn't like losing the parking spaces. You said it wasn't feasible to build there. Again, we're telling you the residents don't want you to go forward with this plan, and we ask you to take their advice.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you. There being no further speakers, we're going to close out public comment at this time and move forward with our agenda. Supervisors, the next item on the agenda is item number 4A, which is the discussion regarding the Vesta Management Services Agreement. Mr. Chairman?
I think that we're at a crossroads here with Vesta and what's going on in this community. We see, in my opinion, a revolving door, and that's very troublesome to me. This board sent a letter to Vesta a little more than, maybe close to 70 days ago, with a 60-day, as in my words at the time, it was step up or step out. And with Ginger, we agreed that we'd have a midterm discussion as to how things were going. And actually, some of the major issues that people were concerned about were the omelet station and food-related services here at the River Club. And at that midterm point, I certainly said in an email to Ginger, as well as vocally to the board, that things were, we had the omelet station back, we had the menu back, we weren't just doing buffets, things seemed to be looking up. Since then, things have deteriorated rapidly. We do have a revolving door on the kitchen. It's hard to say who's there and who's not there. We have names of folks that were supposed to come in to be in executive chef positions. Those folks didn't show up. We, here in the front office, we have a receptionist that has gone. We have another sous chef in the back that left last week. I think this is more than Vesta can handle. And I am very, very disappointed. I fear where we're going here. At a social committee meeting last week, there was no plan as to events being prepared for this community. It was very, very troubling. When the thought of New Year's came up, it seemed as though no one had thought about that. No plans have been underway. Now, that's a big event. And for a community this size, you don't start planning it on the 26th of December. You start planning it on the 2nd of January the year before, so that there'd be adequate music, there'd be the type of event that this community is used to. It seemed to be not even a thought. When the question came up as to what is being planned, what social activities are being planned, well, we're gonna have a Memorial Day barbecue. And beyond that, the social committee was completely upset with the fact that there were no plans. This is just one example of one committee. To me, it says that Vesta can not handle what we need in this community. And I'm gonna let everyone give their opinion that they would like. However, I'm going to say, as an ending to my comments, that I'm gonna make a motion that we deliver a 60-day termination letter to Vesta as of today, and that as of today, we establish an RFP and look for another amenities company. So that's my motion.
Do we need a second?
Why are you making the motion now?
I'm making that motion as a part of my comments, yes.
I will second the motion for the purpose of discussion.
discussion?
For purposes of discussion, I think two questions are pivotal here that we have to ask about Vesta. Are the residents better served since Vesta took over its operation here? Number one. Number two, was Vesta given a fair and reasonable opportunity to perform its duties? I'm not saying we have to answer those questions verbally in front of everybody, but those are the two questions we have to think about. In the law, we say you can't defend the undefendables. I want you all to think about that. I will be seconding your motion as made, but I think we need to add the fact that authorize the attorney to serve notice upon Vesta, and that the notice of contract be terminated without cause and for convenience as set forth in Article 9, Section 9.2. There's a difference.
Just for clarification, Supervisor Booker, we do have a second. So if
Okay.
Rich, do you wish to amend your agenda, your motion
To reflect,
to include the comments made regarding the agreement?
Without cause
that's fine.
And-
Sure.
and for convenience. That's very pivotal in the
That's
law. Okay?
Sure.
And are you okay with seconding?
Huh?
Mr. Quinlan?
Yeah, we have to have a second to open the discussion here, and that's what we're doing now.
Discussion.
My comment would just pretty much say the same things that the revolving door employees. We talked about retention of employees, and I personally have not seen it. I don't know what's going on in the kitchen, but that seems to be the place where there is the most turnover. So I'm very disappointed to see that. I think we gave Vesta plenty of time to get that together, and it just doesn't seem to have happened.
I'll just add that even one of their regional vice presidents put in a resignation. That says a great deal for what Vesta isn't doing.
I'll speak. I want to compose my
Thanks.
thoughts a little.
I have gone up, down, sideways on this issue for months. I've tried to take into account the current environment on hiring and retaining employees. It's extremely difficult. All employers are having that problem, whether it's Vesta themselves or on behalf of the River Club. It's just an ongoing problem. At the same time, I had made suggestions that we, through Vesta, needed to be more competitive. We were losing employees to the golf club, and I asked the question why, and the answer was they're paying more than we are. And I said, well, why don't we step up and pay our employees more, at least to be competitive with our neighbor at a minimum. I don't know why, maybe it's happened now, but if it has, it's taken a long time to get there. I don't fully understand why it took so long. There was certainly money in the budget to cover it because we had fewer employees for extended periods of time, so there was money available. But it didn't happen. When Rudy came in, I thought that was a good step. I was very supportive of him. I think the Vesta team will acknowledge that I've tried to work openly with Dan, with Ginger, and certainly with Rudy in trying to get the financial records appropriate. I don't think there was anything wrong. I won't say wrong. I don't think there was anything misappropriate with the financial statements. There needed to be reclassifications. Those ultimately got done. There were a couple of mistakes that, again, got investigated and corrected. As I've communicated to Mr. Surface, who emailed us as board members, I think a lot of the communication between us and Vesta was, especially early on, was dismissive of some of the issues, and I was disappointed with that, rather than just stepping up and saying, there's a problem, we're gonna get to the bottom of it, and we'll get it fixed. Early indications, early communications where there was no problem, and then ultimately there was a problem, and it did get fixed. But I just found that back and forth to be disingenuous and disappointing. All of us here on the board, have professional backgrounds. I'm a retired CFO. I understand issues come up. They need to be fact-based, checked out, and appropriately corrected. And so I was disappointed with that process. My personal opinion is I don't think Vesta, until very recently, like in the last week or two, really supported us the way they needed to. You can shake your head no, but, and again, my opinion, from somebody who spent a lot of time working with Denise, working with Rudy, trying to get at some of the causes of issues, found there wasn't a great deal of support. We can go back and forth on reasons why Rudy left. The stated reasons were, I think, stated because of a person who was very proud in his work ethic and what he tried to do, and very loyal to his company. And I don't feel that loyalty was reciprocated. And he wasn't getting the support that he needed at the time. It's, again, very recently, Vesta has stepped up, put in another general manager, temporary, and are hiring again. But we've gone through that process a couple of times now. And again, part of it is the environment, and I do respect and appreciate that. And I was one who said we needed to give them extended time to get everything in order. And it still hasn't worked the way it should have. So I reluctantly would support the motion because I think we need a change. I think it's just gotten to the point where we have to have a change now, for whether it proves to be better, worse, we just have to do something different. So that's kind of where I am at this point.
I wanted to stop for a few minutes and think about what I was going to say, reflecting off of what everybody else's comments were. And for me, I want to take us back a couple of years when we decided we were going to go a different direction. And I think I was the swing vote that cast the deciding vote to change. And I voted that way because I thought change would be good for us. Maybe there'd be some new things we could do here. And I was excited about it. I thought our future was going to get a little brighter. And when you think back of all the things that have happened since we've made this change, I think it's been almost devastating for this community, what we've been through here. And so to continue to go this way, even though there may be a glimmer occasionally that things are going to get better, I think we owe it to our community to bite a hard decision here and to make a change and see if we can maximize in that area. And I would say this is probably the most difficult decision that as a board we've had to make in a long time. So I don't think for any of us it comes easy or without some thought.
Thank you. I think there was, on my part, there was a great deal of thought that went into it. Looking at it from all sides, weighing a variety of issues. Ken pointed to several of them. The general climate out there for employees, certainly. But at the end of the day, this board is responsible to this community. And I could not sit back and allow what we have here to be simply flushed down the toilet. Done with it. We need to move on. We need to find something, find a company that will come in and return us to the lifestyle that we have always expected to have in this community. Are there any other comments? Anyone?
No, call the question.
Okay, we have a motion. It's been seconded, so I'm going to call a vote.
All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion
Motion
carries.
carries.
I just want to clarify, I think I know the answer, but I just want to clarify if I could, that I will prepare the 60-day termination notice, okay? And in terms of timing on the RFP, I mean, we'll just move as swiftly as we can.
Yeah.
I have a motion.
Just one of the things, in looking at the RFP that was sent out when we did this about 2 years or so ago.
Yeah.
With the dates changed and whatever, that looks pretty good. There may be some other things that we may want to add specifically, rather, because we amended the contract concerning financials. Let's make sure that that's in there right from the very beginning, and maybe make it by noon on the 18th of the month, rather than at any time during the day, to give Rosetta a chance. We do mention something about supervision of various amenities. Dog park is one of the things that's in there. I guess we could take that out.
Sure, I mean, we'll give it a good look.
Yeah,
To make
okay.
sure that there's things, I'm sure, will need to be updated.
On your end, Ken, the strategic direction, there are some points there that should probably be added as well.
Andy, will we have a chance to see that before it goes out?
I can send it to the board for comment. Obviously, you wouldn't be able, unless we're having a meeting, you wouldn't be able to discuss it amongst yourselves, or.
No, but we can send.
But you could send me a comment, and I'd be glad to do that.
That would be great. Okay. See, I was looking at dates, having it returnable June 27th and for presentation to the board July 11th. We have to move rather quickly here.
Well, I was actually a meeting before you.
Well, if we can do it, you have to advertise.
Yep.
And
What's reasonable on getting returns?
Well, I would say no less than 30 days.
okay, and we're talking our area of advertisement. I would hope we will expand it outside of this southwest area. Wow.
Okay,
I mean, I can talk to Belinda about options, but
Ernest, why would you want that? One of the problems is when people are a long way away, they don't get it.
No, for purposes of knowing, you don't know what other contacts they have in this area. Somebody, say, from the Miami area, or someone in Naples, or something like that. So, you know.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
I always believed in broadly advertised. You just don't know.
we do have a meeting on June 27th, and then the following meeting would be on July 11th.
So I that's what I have in my motion.
Okay, to review the RFP on the 27th, and then to
Have presentations.
presentations then?
On
or-
July 11th, like we did the last time, 2 years ago, when I voted against it.
You can also move up the July 11th meeting if need be. Just won't be able to take place on Monday because Monday's July 4th.
Right, but we could do it on the 5th or the 6th or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you want to move it a week up.
Why don't we do that?
Yeah,
Why don't we move that meeting to make it the Wednesday, make
we've
it,
got one more meeting, right?
well, we have two. We have June 6th,
Right.
which we've changed that one, and then we have June 27th.
I mean, I don't want to stifle any conversation by any means, but let's maybe take a step back. Let me get the RFP put together. Let me work with Belinda on advertising and plug in some dates before we do something that
Okay,
doesn't work.
Yes.
all right, that makes more
I
sense.
mean, we
That's
know,
great.
we know and I will never get the letter out today, but we know even with the letter going out today, that we've got only 60 days, July 23rd, so we gotta fit something in before then.
Right.
So let's try and, rather than create the wheel right this minute, let's try and.
Okay, that makes sense.
Chairman, may I speak?
No, we're not gonna open the public comment. No. All right, so that was the last item on the agenda, then, I'm gonna make a motion that we, adjourn, take a 10-minute break, and then start the workshop.
Can I ask, I have some information I wanted to share related to the Tiki Hut. Can we talk about that or no?
Okay. It's not on the agenda.
Well, but it may be related, if you want to talk about it during the workshop, is it budget related?
No, it's information.
Well, I mean,
Supervisor comments? Supervisor comments, go ahead.
Okay. All right, so what I do want to share
we're not
is.
going to take any action, right?
Yeah, no, this is for information. So what I wanted everybody to know is that last week, Keith and I spent some time looking at some plans for the building that relate to the tennis area. And we did find a set. I brought those plans over to Croft. He is in turn taking those plans to his architect, and they're drawing up the schematics for submission on the tennis room. So that's underway. The second thing is, last week, the notice to proceed was filed with Sarasota County. So this is another step in the right direction. I guess I do have a question. Have you got money for the pavers and landscaping?
Do I have money?
Yeah.
Buck up, boy.
I've got my credit card in my desk, I'll be right back. I mean, I'm not. Why are you asking me?
Well, because he's been the liaison to the landscapers and the paver company.
I mean, I have their estimate.
Okay,
So that was
so,
all given to,
all right, so that needs to get approved so we can get going here.
It was approved.
That was
Well,
approved.
we approved it in, okay, so we're good to go.
Yeah.
All right,
It was
just
all
want to make
approved.
sure.
Yes, yes.
All right.
It was all approved. Well, we approved the Tiki Hut, but-
oh, good, so I don't have to get my credit card out?
Okay. All right, so we're done.
Okay, we have the permits and all the necessary
Well,
regulations.
this was the notice to proceed. He's still working on the permits, but that's in process, is the answer.
Okay,
What's your question? Some more, ask me some more.
we projected 8 months to get the property and furniture.
Right.
And you're telling me we don't have permits yet,
And,
we've been waiting
okay,
for 2 years,
well, and what do you,
3 years from once.
yeah,
So,
and there's been good reason why it's been this process. And I don't think it's fair to throw out, we've been waiting 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. We diligently move things along. So what do you want to do? What are you asking?
I just asked and made an inquiry as to whether or not we had permits. What else? What other requirements, governmental?
It's in the hands of the city. Everything has been submitted.
Right, it's been
and
submitted, and we're waiting for the city to act on it.
Government, it doesn't necessarily work at the same
That's true,
speed
but
you'd like it to.
when did we submit this?
Last week, on,
Oh,
I think
last
on
week.
Wednesday.
Okay.
On Wednesday. The final plans came back. There were some changes to the drawings. The architect made the changes. Those changes satisfy our requirements, and that caused the submission.
Okay.
All right, so the next step then is that we'll get together the landscaping company, the paver company, the pool and rec committee, the facilities committee, and everybody out there to take a look at what we're gonna do. All right, that's it.
It's 10:17 a.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 10:17 a.m. Thank you.